Afternoon sunlight filtered softly through the living room curtains, casting golden hues across the polished floor. Anna sat on the edge of the couch, a half-read book resting on her lap, her gaze far away. Her birthday was just days away, and yet she felt nothing, no anticipation, no joy. The calendar marked the date with a gentle circle in blue ink, as though her past self had been more hopeful than the woman she was now. In previous years, Ricky would have been planning something weeks in advance, flowers, gifts, dinner reservations. But this year, he'd barely mentioned it. She tried to convince herself that maybe he had a surprise up his sleeve. Still, the ache in her chest told her otherwise. Her thoughts drifted to their early years. Ricky, once full of warmth and charm, used to light up her world with laughter. But lately, their home had turned into a place of cold civility. Their conversations were short, their dinners quiet, and his touches, once tender, now felt absent. Anna bit her lower lip as she watched the sun lower behind the garden hedge. His silence in the house was too loud, almost accusing. "Maybe I'm just imagining things," she whispered to herself. But deep down, she wasn't. Something had shifted, like a string pulled too tight, ready to snap. Her heart told her her birthday this year wouldn't be just another celebration. It would be the beginning of something else, something she wasn't ready to face. The following morning, Anna watched Ricky from across the kitchen table, his head buried in his phone as he scrolled through emails. His face lit up, not with the delight of a husband looking at his wife, but with that sly smile he often wore when he thought no one was watching. "You're awfully cheerful this morning," Anna said casually, stirring her tea. He looked up, startled for a moment, then forced a grin. "Just happy it's Friday," he said, reaching over to squeeze her hand. It was the kind of gesture that might have warmed her before, but now it felt rehearsed, mechanical. He placed a sleek black gift box in front of her. "An early birthday gift," he announced. Inside was a designer watch, beautiful but impersonal, as if picked by someone else entirely. She smiled, thanked him, and slid the box away. The weight of the gift did nothing to lighten the heaviness in her chest. Over the next few days, Ricky's behavior became oddly attentive. He offered to cook, bought fresh flowers, and even booked them a couple's massage, something he hadn't done in years. But his eyes never lingered. His kisses were quick, shallow, and his phone never left his side. One evening, Anna walked into the living room and caught him whispering into it, only for him to end the call abruptly. "Just work," he muttered without looking at her. He kissed her forehead and slipped away to shower. Anna stared after him, trying to find traces of the man she had once trusted so deeply. His sudden generosity didn't feel like love. It felt like compensation. She could feel it in her bones. Ricky was hiding something, and no amount of roses or massages could erase that truth. Something had gone missing between them, not just love, but sincerity. It was a quiet Thursday afternoon when Anna decided to do laundry herself, a task Ruth usually handled. She claimed she wanted to keep busy, but in truth, she needed a distraction from the unease gnawing at her. As she sorted through Ricky's shirts, her fingers froze. On the inside collar of his crisp white dress shirt was a faint smear, pink, shimmery, and unmistakably lipstick. Her heart thudded in her chest. She didn't wear that shade. She held the shirt up to the light, staring at it, then slowly folded it and placed it in the basket like nothing happened. Her face remained calm, but her body trembled. She sat on the edge of the bed, holding her breath, wondering how many more signs she had missed. It wasn't just a hunch anymore. This was proof, a whisper on fabric left behind by someone else's lips. That evening, as Ricky casually walked through the door, loosened his tie, and pecked her cheek, Anna smiled. "You left your shirt on the floor." "I washed it for you," she said, watching his face carefully. He paused for half a second too long before nodding. "Thanks, babe." "You didn't have to," he replied, turning away too quickly. Anna sat in silence at dinner, barely touching her food, studying every detail, his forced laugh, the way he avoided her gaze. "You're quiet tonight," he said, chewing his steak. "Just tired," she replied. But inside she was wide awake. Her silence wasn't weakness. It was strategy. That lipstick had spoken louder than any confession ever could. She didn't need to accuse him, not yet. No, she needed more, and she would get it piece by damning piece. It happened on a rainy Saturday morning. Ricky had left his phone on the kitchen counter while stepping into the garage to take a call from a client, or so he said. The screen lit up with a name Anna didn't recognize, Sharon. The phone buzzed again. Without thinking, she picked it up. "Hello," she said, keeping her voice neutral. There was a moment of confused silence, then a soft, unfamiliar voice purred. "Oh, I didn't know you'd answer. I can't wait to see you tonight, baby." Anna's lips parted, but no words came. "Hello, Ricky?" the woman asked again. Anna quietly ended the call, placed the phone back where she found it, and walked to the sink, her hands trembling as she turned on the tap. When Ricky came back inside, he looked at her and smiled, completely unaware. "Want to go out for lunch today?" he asked, wiping his hands on a towel. Anna nodded slowly. "Sure, let me grab my coat." But her mind was a whirlwind. The lipstick had confirmed her fear. Now this woman, Sharon, had a voice. A breathy, familiar confidence that had slipped past Ricky's guard. Anna didn't confront him. She didn't scream or cry. She smiled through lunch, laughed at his jokes, and even leaned on his shoulder as they walked through town. But something inside her had shifted. That call hadn't just revealed an affair, it had unlocked a new side of Anna. She would no longer play the clueless wife. If Ricky wanted a secret life, she would become the silent storm gathering behind him. Her birthday was coming, and so was her reckoning. The doorbell rang just after noon, piercing the stillness of the house. Anna opened the door and blinked in disbelief. There stood Jamie, her childhood friend, wrapped in a mustard-colored trench coat and holding a small box of pastries. Her smile was as warm as ever, but her eyes scanned Anna's face with concern. "Happy almost birthday," Jamie said, stepping in without waiting. "You looked like you needed company." Anna didn't know whether to laugh or cry. She hadn't told anyone what was happening, hadn't dared, but the weight of unspoken things was becoming too much to carry alone. As they sat by the kitchen island, sipping tea and picking at croissants, Anna finally exhaled. "Something's wrong," she said quietly. Jamie tilted her head. "With Ricky?" Anna nodded. "He's changed. There's someone else." "I know it." Jamie didn't react with gasps or wide-eyed pity. Instead, she reached across the counter and squeezed Anna's hand. "Say the word, and I'll help you dig. You don't have to go through this alone." Anna's throat tightened. It had been years since someone had offered her that kind of unconditional support. "Not yet," she whispered. "I need more. Just watch with me. Notice what I see. Help me stay clear." Jamie nodded, her gaze steady. "I'm staying for a few days, if that's all right. Came for your birthday anyway." Anna smiled faintly. "Of course, stay as long as you want." As they sat in silence, watching the rain mist against the kitchen window, Anna realized Jamie's presence was more than a comfort. It was armor. With Jamie near, she could keep her balance, even as the ground beneath her continued to shift. It was late evening when Ruth, the housekeeper who had worked for Anna's family since her father was alive, hesitated at the kitchen door. Anna was sorting through bills when she noticed the older woman lingering. "Ruth," she asked gently, "is everything all right?" Ruth glanced over her shoulder, then stepped inside and lowered her voice. "Ma'am, there's something I think you should know, and I didn't say anything before because I wasn't sure it was my place." Anna set the papers aside. "Go on." Ruth twisted her hands, her face lined with discomfort. "About 2 weeks ago, I went to the dry cleaners. I saw Mr. Ricky there, standing outside a cafe. He wasn't alone. A young woman was with him. She kissed his cheek when they parted. It wasn't just business." Anna's chest tightened, but her face stayed calm. "Did she have curly hair? Red nails?" Ruth blinked in surprise. "Yes. You know her?" Anna shook her head. "Not really, but I've heard her voice." Ruth moved closer. "I wasn't sure if I should say anything, but I didn't want you finding out later and thinking I kept it from you." Anna reached for her hand, grateful for Ruth's loyalty. "Thank you, Ruth. I needed to hear it from someone I trust." As Ruth left the room, Anna sat quietly, absorbing the confirmation. There was no more doubt. Sharon wasn't just a fling. She was bold enough to be seen with Ricky in public, confident that Anna was in the dark. But the truth was, Anna had been quietly watching. And now she had eyes beside her, Jamie and Ruth. Her army was small but steady. The war was only beginning. Anna's days became silent investigations. She began logging Ricky's work hours, noting every time he claimed to have meetings or late deadlines. Each day brought a pattern, calls that always came at the same time, nights where his shirt reeked of perfume, and weekends where he left early and returned with cheap excuses. Jamie noticed it too. "He's sloppy," she whispered one morning as they watched Ricky's car pull out of the driveway. "If he's going to lie, the least he can do is try harder." Anna managed a tired smile. "He doesn't think I'm paying attention. That's his mistake." Each time Ricky kissed her goodbye, Anna memorized the time. Each night he came home, she marked his mood. He was building her case for her, without even realizing it. One evening, Jamie sat beside her on the sofa as Anna flipped through her small, leather-bound notebook. "You've got timestamps," Jamie said. "You're serious." Anna nodded, her expression blank. "I need to know everything before I act. I won't confront him on assumptions. I want undeniable truth." Jamie leaned back, impressed. "You always were the composed one." "I would have burned his clothes by now." Anna laughed softly, though her eyes remained distant. "I want more than fire. I want clarity. I want him to feel what it means to be powerless." Jamie didn't respond, but the look in her eyes said everything. Anna wasn't just planning a confrontation, she was preparing for transformation. For weeks, she had allowed pain to sit quietly beside her. But now it was her power, and she would wield it carefully, deliberately, and without warning. Anna had never considered herself the type to follow someone. But that Saturday afternoon, she found herself behind the wheel of her car, trailing Ricky's black SUV as he turned into the city. She kept her distance, heart pounding beneath a carefully pressed coat, her eyes fixed on him like a hunter who already knew her prey. Jamie sat beside her, unusually quiet, tension thick in the air. "You sure about this?" she asked. Anna nodded. "I don't want theories anymore. I want faces." They followed Ricky through 2 traffic lights until he turned into a boutique hotel. Moments later, a woman appeared beside him. Anna's breath caught. She was tall, striking, with rich brown skin and coiled curls that bounced as she laughed and touched Ricky's arm. Anna leaned forward in her seat, watching as the woman placed a hand on Ricky's chest, intimate, unhurried. Then they walked inside, unaware they had been seen. Jamie let out a slow breath. "She's bold," she said, not even pretending to hide it. Anna's hands were clenched in her lap, but her voice was calm. "That's not boldness. That's confidence built on my silence." She studied Sharon, now etched in her memory. The younger woman had an air of ease, her steps light like she belonged in Ricky's world more than Anna ever had. "I always thought it would hurt to see her," Anna murmured. "But it doesn't, not the way I expected." Jamie looked at her. "How does it feel?" Anna stared at the hotel entrance. "Like I just woke up from a long sleep." As they drove away, Anna didn't look back. She didn't need to. She had seen all she needed. Sharon was no longer a voice or a lipstick stain. She was real. And Anna was done being the quiet shadow in their game. The following week, Ricky walked into the living room carrying a small envelope and wearing that familiar performative smile. "So," he said, sitting beside Anna, "I was thinking, we should go big this year. Maybe throw you a proper birthday party, something elegant, nothing too wild." Anna turned to him slowly, her face unreadable. "The party," he nodded, his eyes flicking between hers. "I've already spoken to a few people. Jamie's here, so it's perfect timing. We can host it here or rent a space. Up to you." Anna studied him for a moment, then smiled. "That sounds lovely." Inside, her pulse quickened, not with fear, but with focus. He wanted to throw a party. Then she would let him. It would be the stage for everything to unravel. That night, Anna called Jamie into her bedroom. "He wants a party," she said, laying out the envelope and guest list. Jamie raised an eyebrow. "He's getting cocky." Anna smirked. And that's exactly when people start slipping. She walked over to her desk, pulled open a drawer, and took out the leather notebook she'd been building like a war journal. "If he wants the lights and music, I'll bring the spotlight." Jamie leaned forward. "What are you planning?" Anna looked her dead in the eye. "Something poetic. A party that ends with clarity." Jamie didn't ask further questions. She trusted that whatever Anna was planning, it wasn't out of spite, it was out of survival. And maybe, in some strange, calculated way, out of love. But not for Ricky, for herself. The delivery came 3 days before the party. Ruth brought it into the kitchen, her brows furrowed. "Ma'am, this was left at the door. No note, no name." Anna looked at the elegant white box tied with a soft pink ribbon. It was beautifully done, flawless edges, delicate script on a small card that simply read, "Happy Birthday." Her stomach turned. She untied the ribbon carefully, her instincts already on high alert. Inside sat a 3-tier cake, intricately designed with blush-colored icing roses and edible pearls. Anna didn't touch it. She stared at it for a long time, her silence unnerving. Ruth's voice broke the quiet. "You think it's from her?" Anna exhaled slowly. "Who else would send a cake without a name and still expect me to eat it?" Later that evening, Anna placed the cake gently in the back of the refrigerator, untouched. Jamie leaned against the kitchen counter, arms crossed. "You're not going to throw it out?" Anna shook her head. "Not yet. I want to know what's in it first." Jamie looked at her, concerned. "You think it's poisoned?" Anna didn't answer immediately. Instead, she met Jamie's eyes and said, "I think it's a message, and I'm going to read it carefully." She picked up her phone, already searching for a lab that would test food discreetly. Whatever Sharon had planned, it hadn't been subtle. But Anna wasn't afraid. She was calm, sharp, and quietly preparing to turn this twisted gift into the final move. The cake may have been the beginning, but Anna would choose how it ended. Anna sat alone in her car in the dim parking lot of a discreet, privately owned laboratory on the city's edge. The cake box sat on the passenger seat, sealed inside a cooler. She had called ahead using a fake name, Elise Turner, and paid extra for same-day testing. The receptionist didn't ask questions when she handed over the sample, only nodded and said, "We'll call you by 5. The drive home felt longer than usual. Her palms stayed damp on the steering wheel, her eyes darting between her rear-view mirror and the road ahead. Once home, she acted normal, casually folding laundry, laughing lightly at Jamie's jokes, and even texting Ricky a kiss emoji. She felt like a shadow dressed in her own skin. Every hour that passed made her heart beat louder. The call came at 4:47 p.m. A calm male voice confirmed what her gut had already screamed. The cake contained traces of a slow-acting toxic compound, non-lethal in small doses, but dangerous in larger amounts. "Do you want us to alert authorities?" he asked. Anna's voice didn't shake. "No, thank you. That won't be necessary." She hung up and stood still in the kitchen, the refrigerator humming faintly behind her. "It's poisoned," she finally said, turning to Jamie, who had been sitting in the corner, watching quietly. Jamie stood eyes wide. "Jesus, Anna." Anna nodded slowly. "She wants me gone, or at least scared enough to disappear." Jamie was pacing now, angry and unsettled. "We have to go to the police." Anna raised her hand. "Not yet. I have another idea. She sent me a message. Now I'll send one back." And just like that, the fear melted. In its place was something colder, sharper, a plan. Sharon locked the bathroom door of her high-rise apartment and stared at her reflection in the mirror. Her makeup was flawless, her curls bouncing perfectly, but her eyes betrayed her. Behind the glamour was anxiety, a gnawing sense of unease. She hadn't heard from Ricky since the cake was delivered. She had watched from her car, parked down the street, hoping to see Anna collapse. But nothing happened. No ambulances. No news, no chaos. Did she eat it? Sharon muttered to herself, gripping the counter. Or is she smarter than she looks? She reached for her phone and texted Ricky. "You said she wouldn't suspect anything." "What's going on?" No reply. Her stomach flipped. The plan had been simple: scare Anna, maybe even push her to leave town. Sharon didn't want to kill her. Not really. Just erase her. Later that night, Sharon sat across from her best friend Talia at a dim rooftop bar. "You're spiraling," Talia said, sipping her drink. "You don't even know if she ate it." Sharon leaned in, whispering. "I need her gone, Talia. Ricky promised me everything. He said she was cold, distant, incapable of giving him what I give. But she's still there. Still in that house. Still wearing his ring like it means something." Talia looked uneasy. "You sent a cake, not a warning." "That's a line, Sharon. A serious one." Sharon's eyes glinted with frustration. "He made me believe I mattered, that she was the problem. But she just keeps existing." Talia's voice softened. "Maybe it's time you walked away before it gets worse." Sharon looked away, her jaw tightening. "It's already worse." And if Anna thinks she's winning, she's wrong. I don't lose. But the lie tasted bitter in her mouth, because deep down, even Sharon felt the tremor of something she couldn't control. Jamie couldn't sleep. The clock read 3:12 a.m., and she lay in the guest room listening to the faint creaks of the house and the hum of the night outside. There was a restlessness in Anna now, a quiet intensity that was growing with each passing day. That morning, Jamie had noticed Anna on a call with someone she didn't recognize. Her voice was low, firm, professional. Yes, the design must be identical, Anna had said. I need the cake ready in 5 days. No mistakes. When Jamie asked about it later, Anna brushed it off. Just details for the party. But Jamie knew better. Anna wasn't just planning a birthday bash, she was building something. Plotting something. Jamie walked into the kitchen the next morning and leaned against the counter. What's your endgame, Anna? Are you going to poison them back? Anna looked up from her cup of tea, expression unreadable. No, I'm going to let the truth do the work. Jamie crossed her arms, exhaling hard. This is dangerous. Ricky is unfaithful, and Sharon's psychotic. What if something goes wrong? Anna reached for a stack of papers and handed Jamie a page. It was a lab report, highlighted, annotated. I know what I'm doing, she said calmly. And I'm not doing it to be cruel. I'm doing it because I need to see them come undone by their own lies. Jamie stared at the report, her heart thudding. You want to humiliate them. Anna shook her head. No, I want to free myself. And the only way out of this is through the truth. Jamie looked at her friend, soft-spoken, strategic, composed, and realized Anna wasn't unraveling. She was sharpening. Whatever happened next, it would be unforgettable. Inside the discreet back kitchen of a private bakery tucked behind a row of antique stores, Anna stood across from a petite woman in a white apron. Her name was Mrs. Devlin, a retired culinary chemist turned specialty baker, known for creating identical replicas of high-end desserts. Anna placed a printed photo of the original cake on the stainless steel table. Can you make this exactly? She asked. Mrs. Devlin studied the image with sharp eyes. I can match the design, yes. But you said there's a custom filling. Anna handed her a sealed vial and a second slip of paper. This compound is perfectly legal. The slow-acting serum induces mild confusion and disinhibition. I want a small dose in 2 slices, nothing lethal, just enough to loosen the tongue. Mrs. Devlin raised a brow but nodded. You're not the first woman to ask for something dramatic. You'll have it in 3 days. Back at home, Anna sat at her desk, writing names on the guest list with deliberate care. Ricky would get his spotlight. Sharon would be front row. And the cake? That would be the opening act. Jamie leaned on the doorframe, watching her. You really went through with it? She asked. Anna didn't look up. Yes. They gave me poison. I'm returning truth. Jamie stepped closer. You're gambling on them talking. But if it doesn't work? Anna finally looked up, eyes dark with certainty. Oh, it'll work. Their arrogance is louder than their guilt. She folded the list and tucked it into an envelope. This isn't revenge, Jamie. It's exposure. I want the lies out in the open on my terms. Jamie gave a soft whistle. Remind me never to cross you. Anna smiled faintly. You never could. And with that, the cake was in motion, not to sweeten a celebration, but to unearth a reckoning. The invitation was handwritten in silver ink on thick ivory cardstock. You are cordially invited to a private birthday celebration in honor of Anna Wallace. Saturday, 7 p.m. formal attire. Sharon received hers through a boutique courier who left it with the front desk at her apartment. She opened it with cautious excitement, the corners of her lips curling upward. Finally, she whispered, running her fingers over the words. She didn't care who sent it. In her mind, it could only be one person, Ricky. It had his style, understated luxury, elegant detail. He was finally making things public, she thought. Perhaps this was his way of ending the secrecy. Her reflection in the mirror smiled back with hungry anticipation. That evening, Sharon called Ricky, her voice laced with coy curiosity. Got your little surprise today, she purred. Took you long enough. Ricky, caught off guard, hesitated. What are you talking about? Sharon chuckled. The party, the invitation, it's very you. Ricky cleared his throat. Oh, right, I wanted it to be a surprise. Sharon smirked. Well, I'll wear something unforgettable. They hung up, and Ricky sat silently, staring at his phone. He hadn't planned any invitations. But if Sharon had one, and Anna hadn't mentioned it, something was wrong. Still, he said nothing. He figured Anna was being spontaneous, trying to patch things up with flair. Meanwhile, Anna watched from the upstairs landing, having overheard everything. She turned to Jamie, who stood nearby. They're both walking straight into it. Jamie nodded. And they won't see the fall until it's too late. The table was set, the players in place. All that remained was the final scene. The day before the party was unusually quiet. Anna spent the morning arranging flowers with Ruth, choosing soft whites and dusty pinks that gave the living room an air of effortless grace. "You look calm," Ruth remarked, watching her arrange lilies in a tall glass vase. "I am," Anna replied softly, "but underneath it, I'm also ready." Ruth tilted her head, sensing the weight behind Anna's words. "Ready for what?" Anna didn't answer. Instead, she adjusted a bloom and stepped back to admire the arrangement. The house looked perfect, elegant, deceptively peaceful. Jamie joined them, sipping coffee. "Final count?" she asked. 37 guests, Anna replied. "Every one of them a witness." Ruth raised an eyebrow. "Witness to what?" Anna smiled faintly. "To honesty, served with dessert." Later that evening, Ricky walked into the kitchen as Anna stood by the stove. "You've really outdone yourself," he said, slipping his arms around her waist. She leaned back into him just enough to keep up appearances. "It's a special night," she said. "You only turned 35 once." Ricky laughed, not noticing the steel beneath her softness. "I'm proud of you," he said. "You've been glowing lately." Anna turned around and kissed his cheek. "I guess I'm just excited to celebrate with the people I love." As he walked away, Anna gripped the edge of the counter, steadying herself. She wasn't glowing, she was burning, carefully controlled. Every laugh, every touch, every kind word was layered with calculation. But there was no hatred left, just clarity. She knew who she was now, and tomorrow, so would everyone else. The bathroom was warm with steam, yet Anna stood in front of the fogged-up mirror long after her shower, wrapped in a towel, staring into her reflection as it cleared. The party was hours away. The house was spotless. The guest list confirmed. The cake had been delivered and rested quietly in the refrigerator, innocent, beautiful, and laced with truth. Still, she felt her hands tremble. It wasn't fear of what might happen, but the weight of what she was about to unleash. She reached for her brush and began pulling it slowly through her damp hair. "You're not weak," she whispered to the woman in the mirror. "You've never been weak." Her voice caught slightly, but she didn't flinch. "You let love make you quiet. Tonight, you'll let clarity make you loud." She opened the drawer and pulled out the speech she had written weeks ago, 3 pages folded neatly, ink smudged slightly from when she'd once cried over them. But she wasn't crying now. As she read it aloud, her voice steady and low, the words no longer felt foreign. They felt like her. Like the version of herself that had been buried under years of compromise and silence. Jamie stood outside the bathroom door, listening to her friend rehearse. She didn't interrupt. The conviction in Anna's tone made her heart swell with both worry and admiration. When Anna finally emerged, dressed in a sleek, deep emerald gown that hugged her frame with quiet power, Jamie exhaled. "You ready?" Anna looked her in the eye. "I've been ready. I just needed the right day." And it had finally arrived. The guests began arriving at exactly 7 p.m., ushered into a softly lit home that smelled faintly of lavender and cinnamon. The atmosphere was warm, filled with candlelight, classical music, and delicate laughter. Ricky played the charming host, weaving through the crowd with practiced ease, offering champagne and compliments. Anna floated among the guests like a queen in a palace built from grace and steel. Every detail was perfect. But all eyes turned when Sharon stepped through the doorway, striking in a crimson satin dress, her hair styled in lush waves, her heels clicking against the marble floor like an announcement. She held her head high, her smile smug. She didn't greet Anna immediately. Instead, she scanned the room for Ricky, locking eyes with him across the crowd. He stiffened but quickly masked it with a grin and walked over to her. "You came," he said quietly. "Of course," Sharon purred. "Wouldn't miss it for the world." Anna stood just a few feet away, sipping her wine and watching the exchange with unreadable calm. She didn't interrupt. She didn't need to. Sharon strutted over after a few minutes, her tone light but patronizing. "Happy birthday, Anna. You look radiant." Anna smiled politely. "Thank you, Sharon. You look festive." Sharon tilted her head. "I heard Ricky planned everything himself. Such a sweetheart." Anna's eyes sparkled with something that wasn't amusement. "He certainly helped." There was tension behind their smiles, something unspoken that crackled like static in the air. Jamie appeared by Anna's side, handing her a fresh drink. "She brought the storm with her," she whispered. "Good," Anna replied. "I brought the lightning." The guests mingled, unaware of the undertow. Everything still looked beautiful on the surface, but the current beneath the evening was beginning to shift. As the evening matured, laughter danced through the hallways and glasses clinked in celebration. Ricky stood near the fireplace, chatting with two business associates, when Anna's voice rang gently through the crowd. "Everyone, if I may have your attention." The room quieted as Anna stood at the center, a vision of poise, her fingers delicately wrapped around a crystal glass. Ricky made his way to her side, his smile full of pride. Sharon followed a few seconds later, positioning herself just behind them. Anna raised her glass, her voice steady but warm. "Thank you all for being here tonight. Birthdays are strange things. They remind us not just of how old we are, but of how far we've come." There was a soft wave of agreement. "And sometimes," she added, "how far we've been pulled away from ourselves." Ruth brought out the cake as if on cue, majestic and elegant, identical to the one that had once arrived with ill intentions. Anna took the knife and cut the first slice with precision. "This cake," she said, "was a gift. A reminder that sweetness can sometimes hide bitterness beneath it." She handed the first slice to Ricky with a smile. "To the man who once promised me forever." Then to Sharon. "And to the woman who reminded me what I was willing to fight for." The room grew still. Sharon accepted her plate with a confused, slightly smug expression. Ricky laughed awkwardly. "You always did have a flair for the dramatic," he said. Anna raised her glass again. "To truth," she said simply, "and to what follows after." Glasses lifted, champagne flowed, and in that moment the cake was no longer just dessert. It was the catalyst, and they had just taken the first bite. The change was subtle at first. Ricky began to loosen his tie, his usually composed smile slowly slipping into something uneven. Sharon, standing nearby with her half-eaten slice of cake in hand, blinked rapidly as if trying to clear her vision. The room buzzed with idle chatter, unaware of the quiet shift happening at the party's core. Anna moved through her guests with grace, her smile effortless, but her eyes flicked often toward Ricky and Sharon. She could see it, the faint flush in their cheeks, the unfocused eyes, the way their words started to slow. The serum was working. It wasn't magic. It didn't force confessions. It only relaxed inhibitions, just enough for the truth to leak out through the cracks. And the cracks were forming fast. Ricky staggered slightly as he leaned against the grand piano, laughing louder than the joke deserved. "You know what's funny?" he said, raising his glass and pointing toward Sharon. "She wasn't even supposed to send it. But she did anyway, said it'd be poetic justice. I told her it was too much." Several guests turned to look. Sharon froze, her eyes wide. "Ricky," she whispered harshly, "shut up." But he waved her off and looked directly at Anna. "She really thought you'd eat it, babe. I didn't think you would. You're smart like that." Silence fell across the nearest circle. Jamie's eyes narrowed. Ruth stood at the edge of the room, clutching a tray so tightly her knuckles whitened. Sharon's lips trembled. "You weren't supposed to tell anyone," she hissed. Ricky, now flushed and glassy-eyed, blinked at her slowly. "I guess I forgot." The room, once glowing with music and charm, was starting to rot from the center. "You poisoned a cake?" someone whispered loudly from the crowd. A ripple of horror surged through the room. Sharon looked around, suddenly exposed. Her confident posture wilted as the truth settled like smoke around her. "No, no, it wasn't like that," she snapped, her voice cracking. It wasn't supposed to be dangerous. Just a scare." Ricky laughed again, an edge of bitterness in his tone. "That's what she said. Just a scare. But you should have seen how serious she was when she handed it off. like a woman signing a death note. Sharon turned to him, eyes wide. You said you'd protect me. Ricky shrugged, sipping his drink. Well, you said you loved me, and we both lied, didn't we? Anna stepped forward, her tone calm but piercing. Did you really think I wouldn't figure it out? Sharon opened her mouth, then closed it again, defeated. Why didn't you call the police? Someone else asked. Anna's eyes swept across the crowd. Because this moment is what I needed, not justice in secret. The truth in daylight. A silence fell again, heavier this time. Then Sharon, barely standing, whispered, I never wanted to kill you. I wanted you to feel powerless. Like I did every time he left my bed and went home to you. Her voice cracked. I lost a baby. Did you know that? Gasps echoed. He told me to get rid of it. Said it would ruin everything. That you'd never forgive him if I kept it. Anna didn't flinch, but her hand slowly dropped to her side. The room was no longer a celebration. It was a confession chamber, and the doors had just been locked from the inside. Ricky stumbled toward the dining table, dragging a chair out and collapsing into it, his breath ragged. This was never supposed to happen like this, he muttered, rubbing his temples. We had a plan. I was going to leave her, eventually. He motioned to Anna without looking at her. But then the money got tied up, and Sharon started demanding more. And Anna, he finally looked up. You stopped seeing me. Really seeing me. Anna crossed her arms unmoved. You mean I stopped worshipping you? Ricky blinked, unable to respond. Around him, guests began whispering again. Some began to quietly slip toward the exits. Others stayed, mesmerized by the train wreck unfolding. You knew about the poison, Jamie said, stepping forward, her voice trembling with rage. You let her send it. You let it come into this house. Ricky shook his head weakly. I didn't think she'd actually go through with it. I told her to wait. But she was scared I'd never leave Anna. Sharon scoffed bitterly. Because you wouldn't. Not really. You liked the idea of being wanted by two women. It made you feel powerful. Ricky looked at Anna again. I did love you once, he said, but I got lost somewhere. I didn't mean for it to get this far. Anna stepped closer, her voice low and cold. You didn't mean for me to find out. That's all you're sorry about. Ricky opened his mouth, but there was nothing left to say. The cake had been sliced. The truth had been swallowed. And now the consequences sat heavy in every breath of the party. Jamie stepped forward, her voice quiet but firm as the room buzzed with uncertainty. Ricky, she said, drawing the attention of everyone still lingering. What about the money? He frowned, confused. What money? Jamie held up a manila envelope she had slipped from Anna's desk earlier that week. The business accounts. Your withdrawals. The offshore transfers. You thought no one noticed, didn't you? Ricky's eyes darted toward the envelope as if it contained a live bomb. I was consolidating assets, he stammered. Temporary. Just to protect our interests. Jamie snorted, unfolding one of the statements. Then explain why over $200,000 from Anna's inheritance ended up in a joint account under your name and Sharon's. A sharp intake of breath rippled through the guests. Sharon's head snapped toward Ricky, her expression contorted in disbelief. You used my name, she hissed. Are you insane? Ricky looked cornered, sweat beading at his forehead. I thought I could fix it before anyone noticed, he mumbled. You were asking for help with your boutique, and I just redirected some funds. Anna, arms folded, looked down at him with something colder than rage, disappointment. You stole from my father's legacy, she said quietly. Money meant for our future, for a family we never had because you were too busy building one in secret. Ricky's lips parted, but no excuse would do. The silence in the room felt final, like a verdict that had already been passed. Ruth, who had watched the unraveling in stillness, finally stepped forward, her voice trembling slightly. Anna, there's something else. She reached into her apron pocket and pulled out a folded document, hands shaking as she handed it to her. Anna's brows furrowed as she opened it. The room hushed again. What is this? She asked. Ruth looked away. A land deed. I found it in the study drawer 3 months ago, but didn't understand what it meant. Until now. Jamie peered over Anna's shoulder. Her mouth tightened. Your father's land in Oyo. It's been sold. Anna's fingers tightened around the page. Sold, she echoed, stunned. Without my consent? Ruth nodded solemnly. I heard Ricky on the phone once, telling someone the signatures were handled. I didn't know what he meant, not until now. Anna turned to Ricky, the paper trembling in her hand. You forged my name? Ricky's face crumbled. It wasn't like that, he said weakly. The land wasn't doing anything. It was just sitting there, and we needed capital for Sharon's expansion. I planned to buy it back. Sharon looked at him like he had grown horns. You sold ancestral land for me, she whispered in horror. Anna's voice dropped to a whisper. That land was the last piece of my father I had left, and you threw it away like spare change. Ricky buried his face in his hands, and no one reached to comfort him, because at that moment it became clear his betrayals weren't accidental. They were calculated. And now the ashes of a legacy lay at Anna's feet. The room was eerily still when Sharon broke the silence, her voice barely above a whisper. You want to know why I snapped? She said, not looking at anyone. Why I sent that cake? Anna didn't respond, and neither did the crowd. Sharon took a shaky breath. I was pregnant. Last year. Ricky's child. A murmur swept through the guests. Ricky flinched but didn't speak. Sharon laughed bitterly. He told me it would ruin everything. That you'd never forgive him. That his business partners would walk. So he gave me money enough to fly to Ghana to a private clinic. He didn't even come with me. Just wired the money, told me to disappear for a while. Her voice cracked, and like a fool I did. Jamie's eyes widened with fury. You were pregnant and he paid you off? Sharon nodded slowly. I came back empty. He acted like it never happened. Just picked up where we left off like I hadn't lost something. Like I didn't matter. And then he said he wasn't ready to leave Anna. That she deserved time. That I should be patient. She turned to Anna, tears slipping down her cheeks. I hated you. Because you were still in the picture. Because you had the name, the house, the ring. But I see now he destroyed both of us. And he made us blame each other. Anna's expression didn't change, but something softened in her eyes. Not forgiveness, not yet, but recognition. Because beneath all the chaos, there was one undeniable truth. They were both victims of the same man. The difference was, Anna had finally chosen not to stay one. Anna stood at the heart of the ruined celebration, the flickering chandelier above casting golden reflections on the now somber crowd. Her voice, when she finally spoke, was soft, like a lullaby carrying sharp truths. I want to thank each of you for coming tonight, she began, her tone unwavering. I'm sorry this wasn't the party you expected, but for me, it's exactly what it needed to be. She looked directly at Ricky, then at Sharon. For years, I've lived in a carefully constructed world of pleasantries and sacrifice. I wore loyalty like a crown and silence like armor. But tonight I lay both down. A hush fell as her words sank in, thick with grace and finality. This wasn't just my birthday, it was my awakening. She stepped aside, gesturing calmly to two uniformed security officers who had been waiting quietly by the hallway. Please escort Mr. Kingston and his guest out, she instructed without hesitation. Ricky jolted. Anna, please, don't do this here. She turned to him, expression neutral. I warned you once. Lies rot everything they touch. You didn't listen. Sharon made no protest. Her mascara had already begun to run, her shoulders slumped in defeat. As they were led toward the door, Ricky turned one last time, desperation painting his features. We can fix this. Anna didn't blink. There's nothing left to fix. The doors opened, and just like that, the two people who had upended her life vanished into the night. Anna looked out at her remaining guests, stunned, silent, still clutching champagne flutes, and smiled with quiet dignity. Now, where were we? The next morning was gray with early mist, but the house felt clearer than it had in months. Anna sat at the breakfast table in a silk robe, flipping through legal documents as Jamie poured her coffee. You're really doing it, Jamie said, sliding the mug over. No second thoughts? Anna shook her head. None. It's time. Across the table sat her attorney, Mr. Arins, who had arrived early with divorce papers freshly printed and ready. All the financial disclosures are here, he said. Once Ricky receives this, you're officially filing for divorce and contesting the property sales under fraudulent signature. Anna nodded, already signing the documents with a steady hand. I want my name back, my money, my father's land, and I want peace. There was no tremor in her voice, no hesitation. A separate manila envelope sat beside her, this one addressed to Sharon. Jamie raised an eyebrow. "What's that?" Anna slid it toward her. "Restraining order. She won't be allowed within 50 feet of this house, or me." Jamie whistled low. "Remind me never to get on your bad side." Anna smirked. "You never will." Ruth entered quietly, placing a plate of toast and fruit in front of Anna. "The house feels different," she said softly. "Like the air is lighter." Anna looked around. No Ricky's cologne lingering in the halls. No late-night whispers on the phone. No secrets hiding in shadows. "It's mine again," she said simply. Later that day, the documents were sent by courier, along with a short, handwritten note to Ricky. "Freedom isn't something you can steal. It's something you earn. Goodbye." And with that, Anna's clean sweep began, not with vengeance, but with purpose. A week passed. No calls, no messages, no drama. Just silence, and for the first time in a long while, it felt like music. Anna sat beneath the large mango tree in her backyard, barefoot in the grass, her journal open on her lap. Jamie joined her with 2 glasses of Zobo, passing one to her. "To survival," Jamie said, raising her glass. Anna clinked it gently. "To rebirth." The sun filtered through the leaves, casting warm speckles across their faces. "You know," Jamie began, settling onto the blanket beside her, "I've never seen you like this. Not just strong, but light. It's like you shed something." Anna smiled softly. "I did. I shed the version of myself that begged for crumbs and called it love." They sat in peaceful silence for a while, the wind rustling gently through the trees. "What's next for you?" Jamie asked. Anna closed her journal, her fingers brushing over the leather cover. "I don't know," she admitted, "but for the first time, I'm okay with not knowing. I want to read again. Travel. Maybe start something of my own, not for show, not for Ricky. Just for me," Jamie nodded. "You should. You're brilliant. You've just been buried." Anna looked up at the sky. "Then let this be my spring." As the light shifted and the birds chirped nearby, Anna knew the hardest part was behind her. The lies were out, the betrayal named. And now, in the quiet aftermath, she had one thing no one could steal, herself. The envelope arrived on a Tuesday afternoon, buried beneath bills and circulars. It was handwritten, the ink a familiar shade of blue, the return address scribbled hastily in the top left corner. Anna stared at it for a long moment before breaking the seal with quiet curiosity. The letter was folded twice and began simply, "Anna, I know I'm the last person you want to hear from, but I owe you this." She sat down slowly on the veranda, the paper crackling in her hands as the breeze tugged at the edges. Sharon's words were raw, unfiltered in a way Anna had never seen from her. "I'm in therapy now, real therapy. Not the kind where you pretend nothing is your fault. I'm starting to understand that pain doesn't justify cruelty. I don't expect forgiveness, but I needed to say I'm sorry. Not because I got caught, but because I see now what I became, and who you never stopped being." The letter went on for pages, each word more vulnerable than the last. Sharon wrote about losing herself in love that was never promised, how desperation had turned into bitterness, and how her silence about the pregnancy had haunted her more than she let on. "I thought you were the enemy," the letter read, "but I was too blind to see you were just surviving in your own prison. We were both locked in different cells, but he held the key to both." Anna read to the end, the final lines trembling in their sincerity. "Thank you for not destroying me when you could have. Thank you for choosing grace when you were handed poison. I'm learning from that, one day at a time." Anna folded the letter carefully and placed it on the table beside her. Jamie walked out with a cup of tea. "You okay?" she asked gently. Anna nodded. "She's learning to breathe again, and I'm learning to let go, no fury. No resentment, just quiet release." The past had spoken, and now it could rest. The kitchen smelled of cinnamon, nutmeg, and something sweeter, healing. Anna stood barefoot, apron dusted with flour, as she folded the batter gently into a glass bowl. The oven preheated behind her, humming softly. She moved without rush, without a recipe, guided only by instinct and peace. On the counter sat a round tin pan, waiting. There was no courier, no poison, no hidden message this time. Just a cake made from scratch, the way her mother once taught her. Each stir felt like a stitch sewing her back together. Ruth walked by, humming as she passed, and Anna smiled to herself. "It smells like something fresh," Ruth said. "It is," Anna replied. "It's mine." When the cake was done, she set it on the windowsill to cool, the afternoon sun warming its golden top. Later that evening, Anna sat alone at the dining table, a single candle flickering in the center. The cake was sliced, steam rising gently from the first piece. She placed it on a small plate, added a scoop of vanilla ice cream, and lit the candle with a match. She didn't make a wish, she didn't need one. This wasn't a birthday. It wasn't a celebration of age. It was a quiet tribute to her rebirth. She raised her fork, paused, and whispered to herself, "To freedom." As she took the first bite, her eyes closed, and for the first time in years, there were no lies lingering in her mouth. No betrayal, no bitterness, just warmth, just sweetness. Jamie's laughter echoed from the hallway, and the house felt alive again. The party had ended, the storm had passed, and in its place stood a woman rebuilt from the ruins. Anna didn't need applause. She had found something far more lasting, peace, earned and savored, one honest slice at a time. Here's the custom Bible verse. Inspired by Proverbs and Ecclesiastes, the lies of the wicked may flourish in secret, but truth, like the morning sun, rises and exposes all. The heart that chooses silence for peace will one day speak with power. Anna 3:16 note. This is a fictional verse created in the style of biblical wisdom literature, inspired by themes in Proverbs 12 verse 19, Ecclesiastes 3 verse 7, and Luke 12 verse 2. The moral of the story. Silence is not weakness when it is chosen with wisdom. True strength lies in knowing when to watch, when to wait, and when to reveal the truth, not to destroy, but to be free. When betrayal tries to poison your spirit, choose grace, clarity, and courage. Justice does not always need a courtroom. Sometimes it only needs a moment of truth in front of those who never expected you to speak. That's the end of the story. What did you learn from this story? Drop your thoughts in the comment section. Leave a like and don't forget to subscribe and turn on post notification so that you'll be notified whenever we drop our next videos. Also, share this video to someone who might be interested. Thank you so much for watching.